Fazza speaks softly to the wounded, not from a throne but experience. His words arrive without command. They sit beside your pain quietly. They do not rush your healing. They wait with patience and respect. He knows hearts break silently. Behind success, behind smiles, he knows strength often bleeds alone. In rooms filled with applause, he understands hidden fractures. Because royalty does not cancel pain, his words do not deny sorrow. They acknowledge its presence fully. They say, I see you, not as weak, but human, not as failed, but learning, not as finished, but transforming. He reminds broken hearts gently that pain refines, not ruins, that storms polish inner steel, that tears wash false dreams away, leaving truth standing quietly, stronger than before, calmer than ever. He speaks of patience like art, not waiting helplessly, but wisely. Patience as self respect in motion, as trust in unseen outcomes, as faith breathing through endurance, as dignity held during collapse. Fazza's words don't promise ease, they promise meaning instead. They say hardship carries instruction. If listened to without bitterness, they teach pain how to speak and hearts how to listen again. He tells you loss isn't empty. It clears space for clarity, removes illusions, gently or harshly, exposes what was never real. So what remains can grow honest, rooted deeper than fantasy. To broken hearts, he whispers, you are not behind in life. You are not late to joy. You are simply being prepared for something that requires maturity, something fragile cannot carry. He reminds you love is responsibility, not obsession or surrender. Love should never erase you or demand your silence. Love must protect your essence, or it isn't love at all. His words teach boundaries gracefully, not as walls, but wisdom. They say, guard your tenderness. Not everyone deserves access. Not every admirer values depth. Discernment is self love matured. He speaks of self respect quietly as something earned in pain, something discovered after breaking, when pleasing others becomes exhausting, when abandoning yourself feels unbearable. That's where self respect awakens. Faz's words don't shout healing, they model it calmly. They show a man composed, not untouched by pain, but shaped by discipline, refined through responsibility and loss. He tells broken hearts, do not rush your softness back. Let strength settle first. Let clarity return fully. Softness without strength invites wounds. Balance protects what heals. He honors silence deeply, says, silence teaches faster than noise. In silence, truth surfaces. In silence, masks fall away. In silence, you meet yourself, and that meeting changes everything. His words say, forgive carefully, not to excuse harm, but to free your spirit. Forgiveness is release, not reunion. Peace does not require access. Distance can coexist with mercy. To those abandoned emotionally, he says, absence reveals truth. Those meant to stay remain. Those who leave make room. Not everyone deserves permanence, and that is not failure. He teaches broken hearts to rise without bitterness in posture, without revenge in intention, to rise clean, dignified, calm. Let success speak gently. Let growth answer loudly. Faza reminds you healing isn't linear. Some days reopen old wound. Yes, some nights feel heavier again. That doesn't mean you're losing, it means layers are surfacing, so they can finally release. He speaks of faith as anchor, not escape from pain, but strength within it, faith that steadies shaking ground, that whispers hope without pressure, that trusts timing without panic. He tells you not to compare scars. Every heart fights different wars. Some bleed quietly, some loudly. All pain deserves compassion. Measurement cheapens suffering. Understanding heals it. His words respect masculinity and softness. Strength and vulnerability coexist here. A man can feel deeply without losing authority. A heart can ache openly without surrendering dignity. Fazza's words don't glamorize suffering, they honor survival instead. They say surviving changes you, and that change is sacred. You don't return unchanged. You return wiser, quieter, deeper. He reminds you, broken hearts still love, even when afraid to admit it. Love doesn't die from betrayal. It learns caution, not hatred. A guarded heart can still be generous, just no longer reckless. He teaches patience with self. After mistakes, after misjudgments, you loved with what you knew. You chose with what you had. Growth requires compassion inward. Punishment delays healing unnecessarily. His words encourage rebuilding slowly, not rushing new attachments, not proving worth through sacrifice, but building a life so grounded that love becomes addition, not a desperate requirement. He speaks of solitude respectfully, as a teacher, not punishment. Solitude introduces you to yourself without performance, without expectation. That friendship becomes life flow, nung, and no one can replace it. Fazza tells broken hearts, you don't need to be understood by everyone you meet. Peace comes from self alignment, not constant explanation, not begging for empathy. He reminds you dignity heals faster than validation ever will. Choose calm over chaos, choose depth over drama, choose growth over reaction. These choices rebuild the soul. His words say grief changes shape. It never fully disappears, but it softens with acceptance, becomes memory instead of wound. You carry it without bleeding. That's when healing speaks quietly. He honors love that ends without calling it wasted. Every sincere feeling teaches something, even endings sharpen wisdom. Nothing genuine is ever useless. It all contributes to becoming. Fazza's words invite responsibility for who you allow close, for what you tolerate repeatedly, for how you speak to yourself. Healing begins with ownership, not blame or denial. He says, protect your nights. What you think before sleep matters. Thoughts plant tomorrow's emotions. Replace self attack with gentleness. Your mind deserves kindness too, especially after heartbreak. He speaks of rebuilding identity. After love reshaped you deeply, you are not who you lost. You are who survived. Rediscover interests, silence, dreams. They were waiting patiently. His words carry calm authority, not loud motivation, but grounded reassurance that life continues intelligently, even when it feels cruel, even when it feels unfair. To broken hearts, he promises nothing except growth if you choose it, except clarity if you stay honest, accept strength if you endure. Healing isn't miracle. It's commitment and practiced daily. He reminds you hearts break because they were open. Openness is not stupidity. It is courage without armor. Do not regret loving deeply. Regret would harden what's precious. Fazza's words end where healing begins. Not with closure, but continuation. Not with forgetting, but acceptance. You walk forward carrying wisdom. Not bitterness, not emptiness, but quiet, unshakable depth, and broken hearts listening closely. Feel something steady return. Not excitement, not fantasy, but peace with substance. The kind that stays, the kind that heals slowly, completely. He continues speaking to survivors, those still standing after collapse, those breathing through invisible pain, those rebuilding without applause, those tired yet still dignified, those learning strength costs something. He tells you pain matures character. It removes childish expectations gently. It teaches realism without cruelty. It replaces fantasy with wisdom. What remains feels quieter, but far more dependable than dreams. He reminds hearts bruised deeply that loneliness isn't always emptiness. Sometimes it is recalibration, a pause designed for realignment. So you don't repeat patterns, so you don't choose familiarity over truth. His words say, slow your heart. Urgency often hides insecurity. Love rushed lacks foundation. Connection needs patience to breathe. Anything real survives stillness. Anything false demands speed. He teaches broken hearts discernment. Not every emotion deserves action. Not every attachment deserves loyalty. Feeling deeply requires management, otherwise, love becomes self erasure. And self erasure is not devotion. He speaks about pride carefully. Not ego, but self honor. The kind that prevents begging, the kind that preserves posture. Even when the heart shakes, even when rejection feels unbearable. Fazza says dignity is medicine. It heals quietly over time when you refuse to chase, when you stop explaining your worth, when you walk away calmly without needing final validation. He reminds you loss clarifies value. What hurt you taught limits. What left you taught truth. What stayed taught consistency. Education sometimes arrives painfully, but it arrives thoroughly. He speaks to those discarded without conversation or explanation, says, silence is an answer. Confusion isn't your fault. Some people exit irresponsibly. Closure doesn't always come politely. His words encourage acceptance, not agreement, but surrender. You don't approve what happened. You simply stop fighting reality. Resistance prolongs suffering. Acceptance begins internal peace. He teaches hearts to grieve cleanly, without self blame contamination, without romanticizing neglect, without turning pain into identity. Grief processed becomes wisdom. Grief suppressed becomes character damage. He reminds you love should expand you, not shrink your personality, not silence your instincts, not demand constant proving. Healthy love protects individuality and celebrates independence mutually. He speaks of emotional responsibility, says, don't give keys recklessly. Access must be earned gradually. Consistency proves intention better. Words impress, behavior confirms. Time always reveals truth clearly. He tells broken hearts gently, you are not difficult to love. You were simply misaligned with someone incapable of depth. Capacity differs among people. Not everyone can hold sincerity. His words normalize exhaustion. Healing consumes internal resources. Some days productivity declines. Some nights feel unbearably long. Rest is part of recovery. Pauses do not mean failure. He reminds you to forgive yourself. for staying longer than needed, for hoping beyond evidence,